So today's conversation is going to center on social stratification. As you can see, um, that social stratification is known as the three P's of power, property, and prestige. And what I want you to get from this conversation is that um, race, gender, they all tend to fall within this frame of social stratification, right? And so, with that said, um, the one that um, um, tends to um, be the most dominant here would be would be prestige. In a second, I'll elaborate more on what do I mean by prestige. Um, so just know that today's conversation in relation to social stratification, it's going to be just a quick lecture on social stratification, and then I'll have an assignment for you at the end of this video, which you'll be uploading. All right. So what do we mean by power? So when we're looking at social stratification, what we're saying is that not everyone occupies the same position, right? And so this occupying a position is based on if you have all the three components, power, property, prestige, then you tend to be the one at the very top, right? Individuals with little or no power, property, and prestige tend to be more at the bottom of a hierarchy. So power is the ability to get others to comply with your will, even against even against their will, right? And so um, that is and that's what power is, right? And so again, it's the control of resources. That is, ability to mobilize resources to get others to do what you want. Information, right? Um, and so if we're looking at information is if in the way to disseminate is just think of power, right? Um, what's the difference between a poor kid whose parents are not um, doctors and lawyers, um, and who takes a car without the consent of the owner? That's called, um, death, right? Auto theft. Whereas if if a rich kid does it, right, it's seen as joyriding. And so that is because of the way the information is conveyed, right? The terminology is different, which also then have different implications in laws, right? So when poor individuals need government subsidies, we call them welfare. But when corporations or wealthy individuals um, um, need government assistance, they're called subsidies, right? So if you notice that, they're both echo the same narrative, which is government assistance. It's just that the language is conveyed differently, right? And so that has to do how the information is sent and also processed. And so you see this a lot also in relation to racial discourse in America, right? Where there are certain um, information that's passed as Black Lives Matter. All of a sudden, then all life matters, right? And then you have laws of stop and frisk in certain parts of the states, in certain parts of in certain parts of the United States. So this is the first one. The second one is prestige. Now, in relation to um, society, the argument is that this tends to be the most powerful one. And the reason being is because this is given by the structure, right? Prestige is handed down by the structure because it's granted by society, right? Now, because this is the most important, this one is also the one that pushes for a lot of conformity, right? So the way you gain prestige, just note that when we're talking about prestige, we're talking about prestige at a subcultural level and also at the macro level, right? So what do we mean by subcultural levels? That in small communities and small racial ethnic communities, you might have certain things that might be deemed as prestigious within that community. However, within the United States, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's the case, right? So that's what we mean by You know, it's socially given, um, and so the way you gain this level of prestige is by conformity to a certain social norm, right? Now, when you don't have power, um, individuals will hold this as high, right? Like, say, for example, nurses, right? Although they don't have a lot of power, um, you know, the way that society views nurses, teachers, um, firefighters, you know, public servants is a very high prestigious position. Although when it comes to power, they have very little or none, which is then also echo into property. Now, property, think of property. It's the way social and social stratification, which represents wealth. And so, why is property wealth? Well, because property can be commodified. That is, you can trade it in for something else, right? Of greater or equal value. And so, property for sociologists becomes the instrument of measurement, but also it's the instrument of wealth. Well, what do we mean by that? Is that when we're looking at social stratification, right? Prestige is pretty abstract, right? Power, you can see power dynamics, but how do you know the system is stratified? You can always look at income, right? And so wealth and inequality is also social, but is also in level of income, right? And so at the very top, you have individuals who, in relation to property, tend to be very rich. And then at the very bottom, you have homeless individuals, right? And these homeless individuals become the social markers. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Um, I was recently reading an article on Las Vegas, right? And what they were doing is they were setting up social distancing for the homeless individuals during this pandemic. However, you have hotels who are are empty, right? And so the question began, why don't they just allow homeless individuals to stay in a hotel, right? And so it becomes that social dynamic. Well, these are homeless individuals. They have no property. They have no power and they have no prestige, right? And so because they're placed at the very bottom, um, they become that social marker, social indicator, okay? And so now social stratification impacts different groups differently in relation to race and also gender, but these are the markers that we tend to see when we're talking about social stratification, right? Right. Okay, so that concludes the video, and so the question that I have for you is, or the assignment that I want you to do is find an article that mirrors this social stratification and just upload it. That's it. You know, just just upload it in your kind of um, um, submission. You know, just point out why is it that you find it interesting and just upload it. Right. Okay. And any article, right? Any article that echoes this social stratification, power, prestige, um, that mirrors, your the conversation we've been having in class. Okay. Well, have a good day. Bye.